We are in the final days of a spiritual cycle, and the universe is observing every choice you make, even the smallest ones. If you have been feeling blocked, stagnant, as if something very big is about to happen but hasn't arrived yet, it's because this waning Virgo energy is preparing you. God is calling you into the sacredness of routine. Yes, that which the ordinary world ignores, but which the chosen understand. Continuous refinement. Today, the spiritual frequency asks you, just 1% more presence, focus, intention. Because that 1% you neglect may be holding the key to your next awakening. And I need to warn you, if you keep postponing, if you keep waiting for a big sign, you may not be ready when the portal opens. That is why, in this video, I will reveal the mystery behind spiritual discipline, how the invisible world responds to your small habits, and what the secret practice of the chosen ones is for keeping the divine flow activated, even when no one is watching. Stay with me until the end. This message is not for everyone, but if you are here, it is because your soul recognizes the mission. You speak of wanting big shifts, recognition, growth, opportunities that feel worthy of your potential. But as the days pass, it's often the smallest actions that get pushed aside. The waning moon in Virgo doesn't ask for grandeur. It asks for presence. It reminds you that progress hides in the invisible. The message you almost didn't send, the line you revised one last time, the idea you quietly refined. There's a quiet tension between who you know you can become and what you're doing today. And that tension is sacred. It reveals the space where real change wants to happen. You don't need to overhaul your career overnight. You just need to honor the steps that seem too small to matter. Virgo teaches that consistency is a form of devotion, that excellence is the result of what you repeat, not just what you dream. You may be waiting for a turning point, something dramatic to confirm you're on the right path. But what if the turning point is already unfolding, one decision, one task, one commitment at a time? What if the breakthrough lives inside the very thing you've been dismissing as not important enough? This moon whispers, improvement isn't loud. It's intentional. Look at your habits. Look at the places you disconnect, postpone, rush through. These aren't failures. They're opportunities to recalibrate. When you begin showing up fully in what feels minor, you shift the energy around you. You stop hoping for success to find you and start proving you're ready for it. Discipline, here, is not a demand. It's an act of alignment. You often set your sights high. There's ambition in your voice, a desire for breakthroughs that feel meaningful, promotions, projects that matter, results that prove your potential. But what happens in between those milestones often feels invisible, even insignificant. The waning moon in Virgo invites you to look again. The email you almost didn't send, the outline you quietly refined. That's where transformation is actually happening. Big outcomes are built in silence. The world may only notice what's visible, but your evolution starts long before that. It begins with the seemingly minor decisions you make daily, the ones that shape your pace, your focus, your energy. Virgo teaches that excellence is a pattern, not an event. And this moon shows you that progress has less to do with speed and more to do with consistency. There's a quiet kind of power in being the person who chooses to show up fully, even when no one is watching. To refine your work when it would be easier to coast. To choose presence over perfection. You may be waiting for a sign that success is near, but the truth is, the way you treat today is the signal. If you disregard the small steps, you delay the bigger rewards they lead to. This phase isn't asking you to push harder. It's asking you to pay attention. What details are you neglecting because they seem too small to matter? What habits are you repeating that subtly tell life you're not quite ready? When you begin to treat your micro-actions with reverence, everything shifts. Momentum becomes steady, focus becomes fuel, and discipline becomes less about effort and more about self-respect. You want to feel like something big is coming, a shift, a leap, a reward that makes it all worth it. But you may be missing where it's already happening, in the subtle, quiet repetition of the things you've deemed too small to matter. The waning moon in Virgo holds a mirror to that pattern. It reminds you that the future you're chasing is built by what you consistently honor today, especially when no one is watching. There's a discipline that doesn't look like intensity. It looks like calm, deliberate care. It's showing up on time, sending the follow-up, organizing the notes, polishing the rough edges. These moments rarely earn applause, but they build the version of you who's ready for everything you've been asking for. Virgo doesn't amplify the glamorous, it refines the necessary. And right now, the necessary is where your power hides. You don't need to be perfect, but you do need to stop bypassing the ordinary. The task you keep postponing might not seem like it holds weight, but what if it's the very thread that ties your progress together? Success doesn't always arrive through breakthroughs. Sometimes it shows up because you kept going when no one was clapping, when it would have been easier to delay. Let this be your turning point, not a dramatic leap, but a return to the foundational. Ask yourself, where am I underestimating impact just because it doesn't feel immediate? And how might my future change if I started treating the small stuff like it matters? Because it does. The next chapter of your career isn't waiting for something explosive. It's waiting for you to master consistency, quietly, daily, and with purpose. You've likely imagined the future version of yourself, accomplished, respected, successful. Maybe you thought the journey to get there would be paved with bold moves, big moments, and dramatic wins. But the waning moon in Virgo carries a different kind of truth. The future isn't built on grand gestures. It's shaped by what you do every single day, quietly, repeatedly. The 1% improvements that feel small, but compound into something unshakable. You've been conditioned to associate value with scale. Unless the project is groundbreaking, the result immediate, or the risk massive, it's easy to dismiss it. But Virgo teaches otherwise. This moon doesn't reward spectacle, it rewards consistency. And in this phase, you're being invited to trade perfection for progress and fantasy for process. You don't need to make a leap. You need to take the next aligned step. Today, there's beauty in the steady, power in the unfinished. Your path doesn't need to be dazzling to be meaningful. That routine update, that follow-through message, that small boundary you keep, all of it counts, more than you realize. Sometimes we wait for the right moment to act, but the right moment is often disguised as an ordinary one. Greatness isn't always loud. Sometimes it sounds like commitment in motion. Now is not the time to pause for lack of inspiration. Now is the time to reconnect with what's possible now. You don't need ideal conditions to begin. You just need to stop waiting for them. This moon whispers, your future will be shaped not by what you plan to do someday, but by what you chose to honor imperfectly today. Let that be enough. And then, do it again tomorrow. You've probably been taught that big goals require bold moves. That success needs to be loud, fast, and impressive to count. But the waning moon in Virgo reveals a different kind of wisdom, one that thrives in the quiet, steady rhythm of repetition. This isn't about shrinking your ambition. It's about honoring the path that actually leads to what you want. One small, consistent choice at a time. There's nothing wrong with dreaming big. But if you're always waiting for the perfect moment, the big break, or the ideal starting point, you may be missing the real miracle, consistency. Virgo energy strips away the illusion that only grand gestures matter. It shows you that devotion to the process, especially when it's not exciting, is what creates real momentum. The 1% daily effort is not insignificant. It's sacred. Every day, you're given a chance to move closer to your goals through micro-decisions. The ones that seem too simple to be powerful. That habit you maintain, the time you carve out for what matters, the follow-through when no one is watching, it all compounds. The results you want won't arrive from nowhere. They will emerge from the discipline you show in moments that feel invisible. This moon reminds you that the goal isn't perfection, it's progress. It asks, are you willing to trust the small steps, even when they feel slow? Are you choosing action over ideal conditions? Because if you wait until it's all lined up, you may never start. But if you show up for what you can do now, momentum will find you. And over time, that quiet effort will speak louder than any shortcut ever could. You speak with passion about your professional mission. You want to build something meaningful, something that aligns with your values and creates real impact. But when you look at your current routine, something doesn't quite match. The waning moon in Virgo invites you to see the gap, not to criticize, but to correct. This is a time for alignment, a time to refine how your daily actions reflect the deeper calling you say you serve. Purpose isn't just an idea, it's a practice. If your calendar is filled with tasks that drain you, distractions that repeat, or busy work that masks progress, then it's time to choose differently. Virgo doesn't demand that you hustle harder. It asks you to work smarter, cleaner, with intention. The sacred discipline it brings isn't about doing more. It's about doing what actually matters over and over again. Sometimes the misalignment isn't loud. It shows up as frustration, fatigue, or a sense that no matter how much you do, it still feels off. That's your inner knowing asking for course correction. What do you need to remove from your workflow? What needs to be added back in? Your mission isn't just a long-term vision. It's shaped moment by moment in how you spend your hours. Let this moon be the reminder that small choices build big integrity. You don't need a full reinvention, just a return to what's true. Create space in your day for what lights you up. Remove what's merely noise. You already know what aligns with your deeper path. The question is, are you willing to make room for it? Daily, consistently, and with presence? Because that's where purpose becomes real. You often speak of wanting to live your purpose, of doing work that matters, that feels aligned with who you are becoming. But if you're honest, your current routine still reflects an old version of yourself. The waning moon in Virgo invites a deeper inventory, not of your dreams, but of your day. Because that's where alignment truly begins, not in what you plan to do someday, but in what you choose to repeat now. There's no shame in having outgrown the systems or tasks that once made sense. Growth requires shedding. Virgo's energy isn't loud or impulsive, it's discerning. It helps you see where your time is spent out of habit instead of intention. If your mission is calling, your calendar must respond. Your workday becomes meaningful not just because of your goals, but because of what you prioritize, protect, and allow. You might think, I'll align when I have more freedom. But the truth is, freedom often comes from alignment, not the other way around. The small, unnoticed parts of your schedule, the way you begin your morning, how you handle interruptions, what you tolerate out of obligation, these all speak. And right now, they may be telling a story that doesn't fully support your deeper path. This moon isn't asking you to be more productive. It's asking you to be more precise. What do you need to let go of so your mission has space to breathe? What can you start honoring again? Consistently, quietly, with presence. Let this be the moment you stop negotiating with what drains you. Your routine isn't just a structure, it's a mirror, and it's ready to reflect who you're truly here to become. You say your work should have meaning, that it's not just about tasks and deadlines, but something deeper. And yet, the days pass, filled with obligations that feel disconnected from that sense of purpose. The waning moon in Virgo doesn't call you to abandon everything. It calls you to edit, to realign, to shift from doing what's urgent to doing what's aligned. Because purpose isn't found in a breakthrough. It's revealed in what you choose to repeat. This phase asks you to look closely at the rhythm of your work. What patterns are you reinforcing? What habits or distractions are stealing time from what truly matters? Virgo energy is precise. It helps you see where your calendar doesn't reflect your convictions. It reminds you that mission is a daily decision, not a distant ideal. Every action either supports your deeper why or pulls you away from it. You don't need more hours in the day. You need more intention in the ones you already have. Alignment won't come from adding more pressure, but from subtracting what's out of sync. The meeting you could decline, the task you could delegate, the boundary you've been avoiding, all of it matters. Because when your routine is shaped by clarity, you no longer chase purpose, you embody it. Let this be the moment you recalibrate. Not with drastic changes, but with honest choices. What do you need to include or remove to make your work feel sacred again? What does your day look like when it's led by meaning, not momentum? The waning moon in Virgo doesn't just support change, it supports refinement. And that's where real alignment begins, not in grand declarations, but in quiet, consistent course correction. You've been juggling more than most people see. The demands, the noise, the constant movement. It's no wonder you feel lost inside your own to-do list. But the waning moon in Virgo offers a rare pause. Not to catch up, but to clear out. It's not about pushing through. It's about stepping back and asking, what actually needs to stay? What are you doing out of true purpose? And what are you doing just because it ended up on your plate? There's a difference between being busy and being aligned. When your days are packed with tasks that don't connect to your deeper path, you start to feel scattered, ungrounded, unsure where to begin. Virgo doesn't call for more effort. It calls for precision. It's the quiet wisdom that shows up when you finally stop long enough to hear it. The clarity you're craving won't come from doing more. It will come from doing less with greater focus. You may be afraid to let go, afraid that if you stop responding to everything, you'll fall behind. But what if the opposite is true? What if releasing just one draining task opens up space for an idea, a decision, a shift you've been waiting for? Clearing isn't failure. It's strategy, and it's a sign that you trust yourself enough to make room for what actually matters. This moon doesn't rush. It refines. Let it guide you back to what feels essential, not just urgent. Review your calendar. Cancel what's outdated. Protect your energy like it's your most valuable resource, because it is. Progress isn't always about adding. Sometimes it begins with subtraction. One choice at a time, one layer of noise cleared, and with it, the return of direction you thought you lost. You've been carrying more than you should. Deadlines, meetings, commitments, all stacked into a routine that rarely leaves room to breathe. Somewhere along the way, clarity gave way to clutter. But the waning moon in Virgo invites you to look at your workload not as a badge of honor, but as a map. And if you're feeling lost in it, maybe it's time to stop adding and start subtracting. It's easy to confuse movement with meaning, to think that staying busy equals staying on track. But Virgo doesn't fall for that illusion. This moon phase favors discernment. What truly belongs in your day, and what's just noise you've learned to tolerate. There's power in the edit, power in saying, this no longer serves me. When you simplify your path, direction naturally reappears. You don't need to do everything. You need to do the right things, with presence, not pressure. That means asking hard questions. What's draining your focus? What's consuming energy without giving anything back? Trimming your task list isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It means you're choosing alignment over overload. And with each thing you release, you reclaim the mental space to reconnect with your purpose. Let this moon help you clean house, professionally and energetically. Decline what isn't aligned. Delay what can wait. Delete what's been taking up space for too long. In doing so, you don't lose momentum, you sharpen it. This isn't about getting everything done. It's about choosing, with intention, what deserves to be done, and trusting that less, when focused, can finally feel like enough. The progress you're craving may not come from doing more. It may come from how you choose to show up for what's already in front of you. The waning moon in Virgo teaches that your career is not a race, it's a garden. And a garden doesn't bloom all at once. It responds to care, patience, and consistent presence. Every small task you complete with intention becomes a seed, quietly working beneath the surface. You may not see the rewards right away, and that's where most people give up. But Virgo's wisdom lies in knowing that the unseen matters just as much as the visible. Your devotion to the process, checking details, refining systems, showing up on time, builds momentum, even when no one notices. Discipline, in this light, isn't a burden. It's a spiritual practice, a message to the universe that says, I'm ready to be trusted with more. Sometimes, you're not blocked, you're just impatient. And it's that impatience that makes you overlook what's already working. The offer you want, the recognition you seek, the breakthrough you've been chasing, they're not delayed out of punishment. They're waiting for roots. For you to show that you can hold growth without abandoning presence. That you can honor process, not just outcome. Let this moon be your invitation to slow down. Not to stop, but to reconnect. Ask yourself, are you working with care or just moving through motions? Are you cultivating or just checking boxes? When you shift from rushing to tending, your career stops feeling like something you're chasing and starts becoming something you're building, intentionally, patiently, and with unwavering trust in what's to come. Growth doesn't always come with fireworks. Sometimes it arrives in silence, through routines that feel ordinary, through efforts no one sees, through the quiet choice to show up again. The waning moon in Virgo asks you to consider the energy behind your work. Are you pushing to prove something, or are you planting with presence? A garden doesn't bloom because you demand it. It blooms because you kept showing up with care, even when nothing seemed to be happening. There's a certain kind of maturity that comes when you stop rushing the process. You begin to understand that your pace doesn't need to match anyone else's. That consistent, intentional progress, even just 1% at a time, isn't slow. It's sustainable. Virgo doesn't measure success by how quickly you get there. It measures it by how deeply you're rooted when you do. And that depth comes from presence. It's tempting to believe that working faster or taking on more will accelerate your results. But real progress asks for patience. It asks you to refine your systems, to respect your boundaries, to follow through even when motivation fades. You're not behind. You're becoming. And the more you ground into your daily practices, the more your work begins to reflect something honest, something that lasts. Let this be the moment you stop chasing speed and start honoring rhythm. Ask yourself, what could shift if I treated discipline as devotion, not demand? How would my results change if I gave every small task the same energy I give to my biggest goals? This is your reminder that presence is power. And when you work with presence, you don't just build a career, you cultivate a legacy. The success you're building isn't just about ambition. It's about the energy you bring to what feels ordinary. The waning moon in Virgo reminds you that the most powerful work often happens when no one is watching. The proposal you revise carefully, the meeting you prepare for with care, the system you improve quietly. These things matter. They may not go viral. They may not be praised. But they are the roots of everything sustainable. You don't have to force a breakthrough. You just need to keep showing up for the process with intention. Virgo teaches that consistency isn't boring, it's sacred. When you give your full presence to each step, no matter how small, you send a message to the universe. I'm not just hoping for more. I'm ready to hold it. Growth that lasts is rarely rushed. It's cultivated, watered daily through actions that align with your long-term vision. This phase invites you to reconnect with what you've been calling routine. Are you moving through your tasks out of habit or devotion? Have you forgotten that the details you treat with care today are the very ones shaping your opportunities tomorrow? You don't need to reinvent yourself to move forward. You just need to deepen the way you commit. Let repetition become a rhythm, not a rut. Let this be your reminder. Your career flourishes when you treat it like something worth tending. With patience, with care, with presence. There's no need to chase results when your process is already infused with purpose. What you're building may not bloom overnight, but it will bloom. And when it does, it will be rooted in something real, your quiet, unwavering choice to show up fully, one step at a time.